Hello there, darlings. This is Miss Odessa with the Sacramento History Museum, and I'm going to be sharing with you, well, some celebrations, some customs, maybe some recipes, and traditions of the holiday season. And predominantly, it's going to be the Christmas season. You might notice I have little gifts on my head. That's because I'm a present to all of y'all. So I want y'all to pay attention, get snuggly. Now, don't get too comfortable that you're snoring, and enjoy Stories by Odessa. A Christmas Carol was published in 1843. The very first Christmas cards came out in 1843, but in 1822, Mr. Clement Moore, who was a poet, wrote A Visit from St. Nicholas. And it has since been published as Christmas cards, Christmas books. Oh, there's probably been little motion pictures done by it. Ooh, maybe even an opera or two. Now, I'm going to read it in its original text, but there have been some alterations, and I'll make little comments along the way because, well, I'm just fascinating like that. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Well, that's a good thing because mice are ornery creatures. Now, cats weren't really domesticated creatures around this time, but they were kept on farms just to keep down the mouse population. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hope that St. Nicholas soon would be there. Now, St. Nicholas, that comes from a long tradition way back in the old country, but his particular poem by Clement Moore, it was inspired by a local Dutch handyman. Now, isn't that interesting? The children were nestled all snug in their beds with visions of sugar plums dancing in their heads. Now, sugar plums were a delicious treat in my time, and if you got an orange and some sugar plums, well, you just had a wonderful day right there, all right? So y'all might need to think about simplifying things just a little bit. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. Now, Mama, she's wearing like a little headpiece on because the houses of the 1820s, honey, they're going to be very, very chilly, all right? Now, you would tamp down the fireplace at night, but you wouldn't want the fire to go out. But you don't want to spend all your logs and wood in the middle of the night. So instead, you're hoping to snuggle up next to somebody, or maybe you're going to take a hot potato to bed, all right? Now, the man is wearing his cap, and they had settled their brains, hoping to get some good sleep. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Now, ladies, most of y'all know the men aren't going to be springing up. No. It's going to be the ladies who are checking on things. But this was written by a man, so he's just putting it in that perspective. You know, bless his heart. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. He opened the window, all right? So there were shutters, sash is the window going up. Away to the window. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. Oh, that sounds just lovely. Now, see, that's like poetic license right there. So, in other words, there was the moon reflecting on the snow, and it looked like daylight. When what to my wandering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. Oh, I wonder who that is. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. Now, the author Washington Irving had also written some earlier Christmas stories that it's believed that perhaps maybe even inspired Clement Moore to continue on and take them one step further with this visit from St. Nicholas. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came. He whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now, this might be real familiar to many of y'all out there. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. And they think a lot of those names actually originated from the Dutch or German. I find that most fascinating. And here in Sacramento City, our earliest immigrant population, well, honey, largest, earliest immigrant population here were the Germans. Isn't that fascinating? This is where it gets very exciting. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As the leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys. You know, and St. Nicholas, too. You don't want to leave him behind. Oh, I think it's time for an eggnog break. Eggnog was a medieval beverage originally used to cure the flu and served warm. Now, later on, it became a very popular drink among, well, the British elite because they would use sherry or brandy. But when they came to the colonies, honey, rum is perfectly fine. All right? And the recipe for eggnog is pretty simple. Eggs, cream, sugar, and your choice of specialty spices, shall we say. Now, some people prefer it hot, some people prefer it cold. I just prefer it in a glass. Cheers. Let's continue with our poem here. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. Oh, that'd be very startling to just have somebody shooting down your chimney like that. Particularly if you had any kind of fire going. That would be quite surprising for everyone. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. Well, of course they were. He just came down your chimney. I don't understand what they don't understand about that. I mean, your chimney is dirty, so that's going to be what's happening. I'm not sure why that's surprising. And I love this description right here he has of him. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opened his pack. That'd be very exciting. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry, and his cheeks were like roses, and his nose like a cherry. Isn't that adorable? Doesn't that sound nice? Now his droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. Now, isn't that's very visual. You can see why he was a poet. They respect words. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. Oh, I can completely picture that, can't you? He was a chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. Now, Washington Irving had written about this character earlier, but he made him a little bit more serious. I kind of like how this is a more playful elf. I appreciate that, and I think that kind of goes along with the spirit of the holiday and really what we've embraced here. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread, because he's just peeking in on him. So he spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings. Then he turned with a jerk. Now, the idea of putting out stockings comes from a lot of different cultures as well, but it came here to California because, honey, we had so many immigrants coming here from all around the world that we developed customs from the Dutch, from the German, but we also brought up things from South America. So we are a potpourri of holiday celebrations here. So you might put out stockings or shoes to get treats. Then laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. Well, that's just Christmas magic right there, isn't it? He sprang to his sleigh, his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. And I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Now, the word Merry Christmas wasn't usually attached to the word Christmas until much later because, well, honey, early on, the word merry was usually, it was used to signify slight intoxication. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.